I'm Trevor Jones and I'm a candidate running in the seat of Boothby. Thank you for coming to Brighton this morning, one of our beautiful beaches, to launch our campaign for Boothby to elect a person and not a party. I acknowledge that our Aboriginal friends, locally the Kaurna people, have lived in this land for many centuries, thousands of years. I acknowledge the long history and tie with the land that they have and value their wisdom as a potential member for the Parliament of Australia. Many in Boothby realise that over and over the major parties have failed us to give us good governance, have misused their power and our country's wealth. I will now read a suggested national apology on behalf of the Liberal National Party and the Labor Party. People of Australia, we, the major parties, have reflected on our conduct and wish to apologise. Parliamentarians should serve for the good of all Australians, but over time our parties have instead pursued a different goal, a goal of getting and keeping political power. Our party organisation has become a shadowy but powerful machine, focused on influencing voters to maximise our power. Based on this goal for power, the party has then dictated to parliamentarians how they should vote and what they should say. Over the years, our parties have taken donations from big tobacco, big miners, other national interests, big oil and big banks. Our desire for this money has left us compromised. Our parties should exist to serve Australians, but they have been led astray by a love for power and now serve themselves above the people. We, the major parties, are sorry. We seek your forgiveness and we'll come back to the representative system this great country was built on. Thank you. We can't wait for the parties to make this apology and change. We're fed up with the parties. So today I'm launching my campaign so Boothby can elect a person and not a party. There are hundreds of examples where our governments have compromised and failed the people of Australia. I will give you three. Firstly, spending on political advertising. Over the last year, the government has spent $250 million of taxpayer money on advertising. That's over $600,000 every day. And Labor in power is similar. Money spent on the party goal for power, not on us. Secondly, spending on pork barrelling. Infrastructure spending is often used for political gain by both parties. 3.55 times more money is spent on marginal seats than on the other seats. Money is spent to influence voters rather than using it in the most productive way. Money spent on party goals, not for us. Thirdly, spending on border protection. Labor reopened Manus and Nauru in a desperate bid to win the 2013 election. Consecutive governments have spent over $5 billion keeping people offshore, using people as a deterrent and harming them in the process. I've travelled to Manus Island twice to visit asylum seekers. They suffer in a hostile environment, paid for at great expense by Australian taxpayers. Australia can quite readily control our borders and keep us safe without offshore detention. But the parties believe that there are votes in looking tough and waste more than $1 billion every year maintaining this harmful and unnecessary system. And all of that money could be spent on our elderly, our failing health system, jobs, growth for us and our community clubs. Billions are spent by the party for this goal for power and not for us. Unlike the parties that are driven by their desire for power, I will listen to the concerns of the people of Boothby and consider with them the best solutions. That is how government has always meant to be in Australia. We've been sold a lie. I will be free from party control and vested interests, and I will actively advocate for the best outcomes for the people of Boothby and all Australians. I will work with you to show Australia what government can be. True to our values, fair, hopeful and balanced. I will work for real and significant action for Australia to do our part in addressing the damage being done to our environment by the emissions of greenhouse gases. I'll rule out supporting any drilling for oil in the Great Australian Bight. This is an outrageous position by both parties to even entertain this activity. It is inherently risky, with a drill bit needing to be over 5 kilometres long. The risk of a blowout and a large oil spill is very real. The maps behind me show the expected spill range of a large spill from near Perth all the way around to Bondi. The risk is huge environmental damage to sea life, birds, reefs, our coasts, risking not only the beaches of Boothby, but putting tourism at risk, putting the fishing industry at risk, putting property prices and our whole economy at risk. And all to dig up a fossil fuel that future generations will wish that we had left safely in the ground. Even the World Bank is ceasing funding for oil extraction because of the risk to the environment. If Equinor drill for oil in the Great Australian Bight, some very rich people will get even richer at risk to us. Despite the risks, and 68% of South Australians not wanting drilling in the Bight, both the main parties are refusing to rule this out. Why? Because a long time ago they stopped actually caring for us. Party interests come before the interests of the citizens, but it can be different. The gap between the extremely rich and the majority continues to grow. In Australia, the top 1% have the same wealth as the 70% and the lower end. Large multinationals and the very rich continue to grow richer and pay little or no tax. Both the main parties have let this continue. The very rich must pay their fair amount of tax, and instead of their rapidly increasing wealth, we can see benefit for all of us in health provision, education and infrastructure, and our most needy can receive a living wage income. The parties continue to accept large donations, often both receiving funds from the same source. Why does big business donate to both parties? What is in it for them? This is a source of compromise and needs to stop. I have no desire for the perks of being a politician, but I do desire for Australia to be led and governed for locals, for the good of us all, for Australia to be its best, with members of Parliament uncompromised by party allegiances that only serve party goals. I am an avid bushwalker, but I'm running in this election for Boothby to make a difference, and we're running together to make a difference. I respect my fellow contenders, Nicole and Nadia. They are both capable and likeable people. But know this, when their respective parties say vote yes, they will vote yes, and when they say vote no, they will vote no. So I say to the people of Boothby, vote one Trevor Jones and elect a person and not a party. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Vote one Trevor Jones.
Vote one Trevor Jones.
Authorised by T.Jones, Post Office Box 7, Blackwood, South Australia 5051.